Welcome back, y'all. Ryan Hall here with the weather forecast. We are finally close enough to this big storm that we're able to start talking about snow totals and some other details that we're looking at as we go forward. First off, let's take a look at the National Weather Service watches and warnings. In Minnesota, we have blizzard warnings for portions of southern parts of the state. Almost the entire state of Iowa and Missouri is under a winter storm warning in the pink there. We have a massive amount of winter storm watches and wind chill watches and advisories out all across the central and eastern portion of the U.S. These watches, warnings, and advisories will continue to expand a little bit as we go forward. But like I said, we're getting close to really nailing down what's going to happen with this storm. And like I've been hinting at for a while, the headliner is not going to be snow totals. Still, there's going to be somebody that sees 2 feet of snow out of this, but it's going to be a small area. The majority of people who get impacted by the storm are just going to get a couple inches. The big threat's going to come from that dangerous wind chill, the winds, and the blizzard conditions. For a lot of people, even if you only get an inch of snow, it could still look like a blizzard outside if the wind's blowing at 50 miles per hour and it's negative 20 degrees. All right, let's take a look at what the radar could look like as we go into the future. The time's going to be up top there and the date, Wednesday at 10 a.m. This is what the radar could look like. Let's go into the future to tonight, okay? Let's say 10 p.m. tonight. This is when we're really going to start to see things pop off here with our big piece of energy that's diving down from Canada. Behind this line of snow here, this is where the dangerous wind chills are starting to really come into play. We're well below zero in Montana at this time, and out in front of it, we're actually a little warm. Now, it's not going to be a hot summer day or anything, but it's going to feel kind of mild for a lot of people as the counterclockwise motion of this low pressure center is going to bring up some warm air from the south. Let's go even farther into the future. We're starting to see a trend here. The story of this storm is starting to tell itself. There is no major phasing of this Gulf of Mexico moisture and the gigantic cold front. So it looks like the snow, at least for the most part here in the Ohio Valley, in the Great Lakes region, is going to be on the lesser side. Now, some people are still going to get a lot of snow. Some people are still going to get a very decent amount of snow, but this is not going to be the widespread 1 foot to 2 foot kind of system that some of the models were showing, a week or two ago. Still, though, we're going to have heavy rain and some snow in the mid-Atlantic and northeast regions on Thursday around 2 p.m. But look at this cold front, man. It is a beast, okay? Along this line, this is where we're dipping below freezing. So in Charleston, it could be 50, 60 degrees. And then in Kansas City, it's negative 20 or whatever the wind chill is at this time, okay? So it's very quickly going to switch from rain to snow as this comes through. But look at how quickly things go. I mean, Indianapolis, we're talking about a couple of hours worth of snow. Same thing in Louisville, but we're still talking about snow as far south as into northern Mississippi and northern Alabama, and it's going to be heavy, okay? It's going to come down really heavy at times, especially in places like Columbus, Cincinnati, and Lexington around midnight on Friday. But the heaviest snow is going to be reserved up here around Michigan. The entire state of Michigan will be experiencing blizzard conditions around midnight on Friday, and that includes the UP of Michigan and, of course, all the way down to Detroit. The cold front's going to go very quickly, and it's going to hit the Appalachian Mountains. One of the things that might amplify some of the snow totals down here is going to be that enhancement of the snowfall from the lakes. It just depends on how the flow sets up. Right now, I guess that the winds are going to take it closer to Pittsburgh. That's where that enhancement could happen. But I believe we might see a period of extended growth in those snow bands here along the Appalachian Mountains, even as far south as into eastern Kentucky for a brief period of time. And the models just aren't picking up on that just yet. But as you can see, the cold front very quickly, this whole system just occludes very quickly, and the snow for the northeast is really just not very impressive right now. It looks like the most impressive snow is going to happen up in Canada and in the northern Great Lakes, okay? And of course, the lake effect snow machines are going to be turning on the eastern side of these lakes as that northwest flow comes into play. But still, the snow is not going to be the headline here. The headline is going to be the dangerous winds and wind chill. I still expect that there's going to be travel delays all through the Midwest, even into portions of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast and Ohio Valley, not because there's a foot of snow on the ground, but because there's an inch of snow on the ground and you can't see your hand in front of your face because it's all blowing horizontally and it's like a blizzard. And then, of course, we're also going to have like a flash freeze situation. All these people that are going to get rain first, and then it quickly switches over to snow. You know, a couple hours later, it's negative 10 degrees, that's going to lead to a lot of problems with the ice. So that's what we're looking at here. This is the full progression of the storm. Let me zoom it out and play it for you once again. Notice your location, keep your state in mind, and that's what the radar could look like as we go forward. A very underwhelming backside as far as snow goes, which is good news, okay? And unless you're a snow lover, that is very good news. This is still going to be a very dangerous and impactful and, memorable storm, but it's not going to be because we're measuring giant amounts of snow, unless we're way up north. And let's actually talk about snow totals now. So this next part coming up is a lot of speculation on how much snow you could see based off of one model. And the point of this channel is to kind of get to the point. So real quick, here is the latest GEFS model ensembles. This is close to the actual official forecast, okay? This is a pretty conservative forecast. Some areas will get more snow than this, but if you just want a real matter-of-fact map here that puts a lot of different models together, this is the one for you, okay? But now let's get into the fun part and really dive into this model data. Now, this is not an official forecast. This is just one model again, but I agree with this model, and I think it's pretty close to what we're actually going to end up seeing. So for example, in Iowa, pretty much all of the state's going to see 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. It's important to remember that this model might be underdoing the totals a little bit in some areas because every single snowflake is going to stick. Okay, when it's -10, -20, -30 degrees with the wind chill, there's no melting. All right. So sometimes the models account for some of that melting happening. And instead of 6 inches here west of Cedar Rapids, there will be some places that get 8, 9, 10 inches of snow. Now up here in the UP of Michigan, this is where we're talking about seeing snow around 14, 15 inches, definitely close to 2 feet up here near Houghton. I think the whole UP of Michigan will see over 1 foot of snow, and a good chunk of it will see close to 2 feet of snow, because once again, these models are underdoing the totals because they don't understand just how cold it's going to be and how much this snow is going to stick. Now let's go south a little bit into Indiana. This model is showing 4 inches of snow north of Lafayette, around 1 inch of snow in Indianapolis. I think a safe bet is going to be 2 to 5 inches for pretty much the whole state of Indiana. Same thing over here in Ohio, but the closer you get to the Appalachian Mountains, we're going to talk about some higher totals, okay? Near Parkersburg, maybe 5 inches. That's a little bit underdone. I think maybe 6, 7 inches is definitely possible. And if you're on the western side of the Appalachian Mountains, this is where I think we will see at least some surprise totals that are a little bit higher than what's modeled here, okay? So basically, if you're in the darker blue, you can expect to see more than 3 inches of snow. A general 3 to 6 is expected through Pittsburgh, all the way up into western portions of New York, upstate New York, north of the Capital District. And of course, in the higher elevations, we will see some, higher totals as well. So I'm sorry for anybody who's disappointed and thought that we were going to get a big old bunch of snow. From the beginning of this thing, I've been focused on the cold air. I knew from the beginning that this was going to be really hard to nail down, what kind of snow totals we were going to get. Of course, it looked like at first it could be a big snow producer, especially if those two pieces of energy merged correctly. But right now, it's still going to be a good snowstorm for a lot of people, but we're talking about inches instead of feet for the vast majority of you watching. Now, let's briefly touch on, again, the most important part of this storm, which is the massive wall of cold air that's going to come through. And this is what's going to cause the biggest problems. Okay, let's jump into that. All right, here we are, Wednesday, December 21st at 2 p.m. That's when the wall of cold air starts to descend across the central U.S. Let's zoom into the central U.S. And as you can see, we are still forecasting negative 40 to 50 degree wind chills up here in the northern plains from Montana into South Dakota, Wyoming, portions of Nebraska. It is going to be quite literally deadly cold as this cold front moves through. Some places may even approach negative 70 with the wind chill there. And of course, we are still looking at a lot of places being significantly below zero in Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas as we get into the early morning hours on Friday. And that's when the cold front's really going to start progressing off to the east. As you can see here, around 4 a.m. a.m. Friday morning, all of Illinois and Indiana will feel like it's 30 degrees below zero. Same thing back up there into Iowa, but look at this. We're below zero all the way down close to Louisiana. All of Arkansas could be dealing with the sub-zero wind chills, negative 20 in northern Arkansas, and of course still near Nashville, we could get close to negative 15. It's still going to be very cold in the Northeast, even though we're not going to see feet of snow. We are going to see temperatures around negative 20 in Ohio, Pennsylvania, upstate New York. It's going to be just an absolutely crazy time period as far as heating demand goes. I'm concerned about power outages. I know people in Texas are concerned about power outages, and rightfully so, but I'm concerned about intermittent local power outages throughout all of these states that will be experiencing these temperatures. A lot of times, the first big freeze of the year kind of creates a surge of usage that may lead to short outages. This is the kind of situation that could definitely compound the effect from that and cause prolonged outages. So just be ready, guys. If you live somewhere out here that's going to be experiencing this cold, make sure you're prepared for the worst. You're gassing up the generator and all that good stuff. This is going to be a historic and memorable storm, like we've been hooting and hollering about for a good time. But the main thing is going to be the freezing cold temperatures, the ice, and the blizzard conditions, not the snow totals. Don't be scared, be prepared. Here's some stuff that you can do to help you be prepared. You can keep some stuff in your vehicle like water, first aid kits, roadside flares, jumper cables, spare tires, especially if you have to be out there traveling during this. There's a chance if you break down or if you can't go any farther because of snow or the whiteout conditions, there's a chance you might have to, get comfortable in your car for a little bit, and you're gonna want this stuff in there if you end up in that situation. Also, we can't forget about our pets. Keep your pets warm and dry and inside as much as possible. Outdoor animals need to have proper shelter. Even like a Siberian Husky can only handle up to like 5 degrees Fahrenheit, anything below that, and it's really too cold for them. And some ways that you can prevent cold air from getting inside of your house when the power's out is to stuff towels in the cracks underneath doors, keep curtains and blinds closed, keep interior doors closed in each room to avoid wasting heat. And just there's a lot of good tips here, guys. What we're trying to do is make sure that you understand that even though a lot of you are only going to get a couple inches of snow, this is still going to be a big deal, and we don't want you to kind of be like, how many inches of snow I'm going to get? Oh, 2? Well, I'm not worried about it because this is not that kind of storm. And one more thing before we end here, we are sold out of Yolometers. I still plan on going live for this cold front, and I want you to send in your Yolometer pictures, and I'm still going to give somebody $1,000 for that, but we're sold out of Yolometers. But we're doing everything we can to get these orders out as fast as possible. I've got Storm Chaser Chris Hall here helping out. All right, you guys got so many Yolometers that we had to call in Storm Chaser Chris Hall to come help fill these orders. There's no storms to chase right now, so he actually had time to come help us out. Chris, what do you think about all this? What's going on here?
A lot of Yolometers going out. More than I thought.
Right. We're not kidding around. We had to take them off the site because we're gone. You see all these back here? We've got a lot on the shelf. They're all gone. They're sold, and we can't keep up with the production. So we'll get them back soon. But I think we're doing good. I think we're going to get a lot of them out today. And then you're going to go chase some snow, right?
Yeah.
All right. But if you still want to support us, go to shopryanhall.com and get yourself a t-shirt or a weather radio or something like that. There's a lot of useful stuff on there that's not just Yolometers, and we'll get those back as soon as possible. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I will see you in the next one. We're going to keep updating you until this thing's over. Goodbye. Ooh.